Today let us take up the labor law, in which we are going to see about the Factories Act 1948 and subsequently amended thereon, and the latest amendment was given effect during 2020. Now we are going to see the important topic of Factory Act, in which we are going to see about the safety, health and welfare activities to be undertaken in the factory, which is mandatory for all the factories. So that is very important aspect for the well-being of the workers, wherein the master-servant relationship exists. So we are going to see the important aspect of health, safety, welfare aspect of the laborers to be adopted in factories. First we will see the health. Section 11 to 49 says about the health, safety, welfare. The section 11 says about the cleanliness of the floor. The floor should be thoroughly kept clean, and there should not be any oily in the floor, because it may the laborers may trickle down, and the detergent and disinfectant also should be used, so that the premises of the working area should be very clean. And painting of the industrial area should be taken once in 5 years, and the surface painting should be undertaken once in 3 years. Then next is section 12, dispersal of waste and effluents. There should be the factory should have the provision for dispersal of waste and effluents. The effluents are the water, waste water which is coming out of the industry is called effluents. That should be, the provision should be there for draining of effluents, and also to the waste should be disposed then and there. Then section 13 says about the ventilator and heat proofing, insulation, and also the pleasing color should be there. These things we are going to see. Ventilator is always maintaining the air circulation. That is, the cold air will come through the bottom windows and doors, and hot air will go up through ventilators. So the ventilator should be paka, and then the temperature should be brought down to the barest minimum, or it should be optimum level, should be maintained. And wherever the heat is produced by the machines, the insulation materials should be provided on the walls, so that the heat is reduced to the minimum and bearable. And then the area should have pleasing paints, so that it will not irritate the workers. And then the section 40 suggests the dust and fumes should not be accumulated in the working area. That should be exhausted then and there. So there should not be any dust or fumes which may hinder the activity of the employees, workers. Section 15, artificial humidification. Humidification means the water particles are the water in the form of water vapor will be available in the atmospheric air. Usually in coastal area the humidity will be more, and in hot places, interior places, it will be less humidified. If it is less humidity there, then breathing difficulty will be there. It is very difficult to breathe. So the air inhaled should have enough humidity. So if at all, if the dry air is present in the factory, humidity arrangements, the artificial humidifiers should be arranged. And then section 16, overcrowding should not be there in the working space of the factory, because every worker should be provided with 350 cubic feet, that is the working area, and roof should be so high, that is 14 feet from the floor level it should be there. And how many persons can be accommodated in the working area, the room shall be fixed by the chief inspector of factories. And then section 17 is about the lighting, and the lighting should be lighting. The lighting should be provided pakka, so that the visibility will be pakka. And then drinking water should be provided, and wherever the drinking water is there, name of the board should also be placed, drinking water. And then if the employee, if the workers are more than 250, air cooler should also be arranged. And the air cooler should be away from the urinals, that is 6 meters away from the urinals or toilet, so that there may not be any contamination at all. And section 19 says about the latrines, urinals, for adequate latrine, urinals for male and female separately. And then the floor wall should be, the tile should be fixed so that it gives glassy appearance. And the floors also should be tiles arrangement should be there in the toilet, so as to keep the premises clean. And then enough spittoons are there. Spittoons, the saliva, to spit the saliva here and there, spittoons are also to be arranged. And then next we are going to see about the safety measures to be undertaken. That is, the prime mover will be there. From the prime mover, flywheel will be there, and that flywheel and machinery ought to be fenced, so that the safety will be there. If at all, if any flywheel loosens, there should not be any accident. For that, it should be provided with pakka fence. And then no friction. You should be seen that the machinery should have no friction at all, because if friction is there, sound will produce, and also heating will be produced, and the machine jam also happens. So that the friction should be avoided, the lubrication should be arranged. And then the laborers, the workers are to be informed that they should wear tight clothes, because the loose arrangement of clothing may lead to trapping of the cloth in the machinery, and there may be accident. So to avoid that, tight fitting clothes are to be arranged. And the employment of young persons to be avoided, that is less than 14 years or 15 years, and then 18 years. There are 3 types of laborers. The workers, they are treated as adult, but the working time is different for the young persons, adolescents and children, that is those who have completed 40 years. And the striking gear devices for cutting the power, whenever any power, if they feel that the power should be cut off, for that the suitable arrangement should be there to cut off the power. And then self-acting machines are to be provided. Then new machines encased, so it should be properly covered. And section 27, precaution of employees of women, children near cotton opener. So the women and children should not be employed nearer to the cotton opener. Cotton opener means the machine to bale the cotton and to push up the cotton bales. That is, the woman should not be employed in the feeding end. Only in the feeding end only they should be employed, and in the delivery end they should not be appointed. The female workers, they can be employed in the places, this side of the carton openers. And section 27, then section 28, hoist lights, and once in 6 months it should be checked. Suppose some of the lighting things are to be hoisted by chain and all, and that should be checked once in 6 months. And section 29, lifting machines, that is the ropes and other things are to be provided paka, and that has to be often inspected. And section 30, revolving machine, some of the machines will be revolving in the sideways direction or in the rotating direction, though that should be optimum speed should be arranged for that. For that the governance should be arranged. And then some of the pressure plant will also be there. For that you should have the cage and all to maintain the pressure of the plant, pressure of the some of the machineries. And then section 33 says about the floor free from slippery. The floor should not be oily and slippery. And section 35 says about the pits and sumps to be fenced. Wherever there is pits and fences and that is sumps are there for water arrangement, or sometimes some of the machineries are in the floor below the floor level, that should be properly fenced. And section 34 says about excessive weight lift, and whenever the lift is provided, it should be provided with paka closing and opening arrangements, safety arrangements. And then section 35 says about protection of eyes by goggles or eye shield, and eye shield and goggles are to be provided to the workers to protect the eyes from exposing the eye to the fumes or dust, etc. Then section 37 says about the that is exposure. So the workers should not be exposed with any poisonous gas or any fumes, dust, etc. So that they may not develop allergy to the fumes. And section 38 says about the precaution should be taken about fire. If at all, if there is any fire hazard, the precautionary measures are to be taken. Then precautionary measures for explosives. Suppose if the machinery, if the factory uses explosive materials, precautionary measures are to be taken up for avoiding the explosion. And then section 40 says about building, plant and machinery are to be inspected by the competent authority. For that, a committee will be provided, and in all aspects, before even installing, all aspects will be viewed. For that, some committee, striking committee will be there. The committee will be there. The committee will consist of the Pollution Control Board authorities and the Central Board of Pollution Control Board authorities, State Pollution Control Board authorities, and noise control authorities, and then some of the 14 members consisting of a committee will also be there. They will inspect in and out of the factory premises. And then the section 40 about safety officer, they say whenever a very big factory is there, whenever a lot of employees are employed, safety officer should also be appointed. That is mandatory. And section 41A to 41H says about the hazardous process. If the plant or the factory produces chemicals and insecticides or hazardous chemical substances, there should be enough precaution measures to be taken, and what all the implications are there, that should be reported to the inspector of factories often, and what all the things happens there, then and there should be reported to the factory inspector. Then welfare activities. Regarding welfare activities, we are going to see about the washing facility. Each and every factory should have the washing facility and then they according to section 43, each and every factory should be provided with washing facility, and for also drying the clothes a separate place should be there, and also drying clothes, and some of the some cupboards are also to be given for the factory workers, so that there may not be any pilferage. And then sitting facilities are to be provided for the workers, because whenever they can sit in the factories, usually they should stand in so they should see the work is going on in standing mode, but sometimes if sitting is possible, they can sit and see the operations. For that, some arrangement should be made. And then the canteen accommodation should be there. The canteen should have enough size, accommodation, and furniture arrangements, and other facilities are also be provided. And the canteen should be the food materials or tea or coffee provided should be provided to the workers at cheaper cost. A committee should also be formed for maintaining the canteen. And also creatures, wherever the factory employing more than 30 the female workers, creche is a compulsory. Whether all have children or not, that is material. Even if the 2 or 3 female workers have children, the creche is compulsory. That is, if more than 30 female employees, 30 or more than 30 employees are employed, then necessarily the factory should have creche facility. And there should be toys also for the playing of children. Toys should be arranged, and then place to feed children. The mother feeding may also be there. For that, a separate place should be there, and it is mandatory. That is, more than 30 workers are there. It is mandatory. These are all mandatory. Section 49 says about the welfare officer is to be appointed to monitor the welfare measures taken by the factory, that is occupier. Then we will see the working hours, holidays, annual leave, etc. And then employment of women, young person, and dangerous operations. The working, as regards working hours, the per day an employee should work for 8 hours. So totally the weekly they should see that 48 hours are they should work for 48 hours. And so in some days it may exceed to 9 hours or even 10 and a half hours. But it should not spread to all days. The spreading out for 1 or 2 days, only 1 day. That is, they can work for, in a week they can work for 9 hours, and subsequently it can be reduced to in another days. And if at all, if OTA is given, then a separate OTA payment is double OTA is to be given. And then there is no overlapping of shift should be there. And then as regards the working hours for children, it should be that is below 40, that is those who are complete 40 years. The working hours is fixed as 4 hours. And then regarding holidays, weekly off should be given. After working 6 days, the 7th day should be leave, and the annual leave for every completed 20 days, 1 day leave should be given. Like that, the annual leave is calculated. And medical leave is also calculated. That is, they can avail 1/3 of the service. In halfway they can avail the medical leave also. And then employment of women, young persons, and dangerous operation. Employment of women, the woman can be employed but they can, now as per the latest amendment, they can do the work during even night shift also, provided the factory should have the all facilities such as the refreshment facilities, and also the transport facilities during night hours. And young persons means those who have three categories are there. One who have completed 14 years and 15 years, and adolescent 18 years. They are treated as adult, but the working hours are reduced. For example, for the young persons, 4.5 hours work only is allowed. And dangerous operations, whenever dangerous operations are there, that should be intimated to the inspector of factories, and they should see that the factories, though it manufactures or produces dangerous operations, all precaution measures are to be taken up, and then and there, if at all, if any accident. And moreover, another important thing in this aspect is the certifying surgeon will be there. They see, they keep the vital role to certify that the age of the young persons, or whether it is above 14, above 15 or 18, they should certify the age of the workers, young workers. And the occupier should not believe while employing, they should not believe the statement of the persons who is opting for employment. Only they should see, in-depth study should be there, and no underage person should be employed. It is mandatory. And dangerous operations, and they should see that all precaution measures are taken to free the workers from exposing to dangerous chemicals or dangerous fumes and toxic gases, if at all, if there are any. So with this we conclude this video in English. In Tamil, முக்கியமாக நாம் இந்த இரண்டாவது பகுதியிலே ஹெல்த் சேஃப்டி வெல்ஃபேரை பார்க்கின்றோம். ஹெல்த், அதாவது சுகாதாரமாக இருக்கின்ற சூழ்நிலை, அடுத்ததாக பாதுகாப்புள்ள சூழ்நிலை, அடுத்ததாக அவர்களுக்கு நன்மைகள் அவர்களுக்கு ஏற்படுத்தி தர வேண்டும். இந்த 3 ஆஸ்பெக்ட்லே, அதாவது இந்த ஹெல்த் என்ற பகுதியிலே அவர்களுக்கு நல்ல சுகாதாரமாக காற்று, தரைகள் எல்லாம் சுகாதாரமாக இருப்பது, மிஷினரி, அதோடு இல்லாமல் டாய்லெட் ஃபெசிலிட்டி போன்ற வசதிகள் எல்லாம் செய்து தருவப்படுவது இந்த ஹெல்த் சுகாதாரத்தில் இருக்கிறது. சேஃப்டி என்ற முறையிலே மிஷின் எல்லாம் ஓப்பனாக இருக்கக்கூட, மேலே ஒரு என்கேஸ் செய்திருக்கப்பட வேண்டும். அடுத்ததாக பவர் இருந்தால் அந்த பவரை ஆஃப் செய்வதற்கான ஏற்பாடுகள் செய்திருக்கப்பட வேண்டும். மிஷினை என்கேஸ் செய்திருக்க வேண்டும். அப்புறம் லிஃப்டிங் மிஷின் இருந்தால் அதற்கான ப்ரொவிஷன்ஸ் சரியாக இருக்க வேண்டும். இவைகளெல்லாம் பிட்டு இருந்தால், அங்கே குழியோ அல்லது சம்பு இருந்தால் அவைகளெல்லாம் சரியாக மூடப்பட்டிருக்க வேண்டும். இவைகளெல்லாம் பாதுகாப்பு என்ற அம்சத்தில் வருகிறது. அடுத்ததாக நலத்திட்டம் என்ற ஃபெசிலிட்டி, அவர்களுக்கு துணி துவைக்குவதற்காக வேலை முடிந்து அவர்களை தொழில், ஏனென்றால் அவர்கள் யூனிஃபார்மிலே உள்ளே வேலை செய்ய வேண்டும். போகும்பொழுது யூனிஃபார்ம் இல்லாமல் செல்வார்கள். அவர்கள் அந்த துணியை துவைப்பதற்கான சரியான ஃபெசிலிட்டி செய்து கொடுக்கணும். அதோடு அல்லாமல் அதனை உலர்த்துவதற்கு சரியான இடம் தரப்பட வேண்டும். அதற்கு அதை வைத்துக்கொள்ள ஒரு கப்போர்டு தரப்பட வேண்டும். அங்கு எதுவும் திருட்டு நடக்காமல் பார்த்துக்கொள்ள வேண்டும். அடுத்ததாக ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எய்ட் அப்ளையன்சஸ், முதல் உதவி அப்ளையன்சஸ் அங்கே வைத்திருக்க வேண்டும். அடுத்ததாக கேன்டீன் ஃபெசிலிட்டி வைத்திருக்க வேண்டும். அப்புறம் ஷெல்டர்ஸ், ரெஸ்ட் ரூம், லஞ்ச் ரூம் ஆகியவை வைத்திருக்க வேண்டும். இது இல்லாமல் சைக்கிள் ஸ்டாண்ட் வைத்திருக்க வேண்டும். அதோடு இல்லாமல் ஷெல்டர், ரெஸ்ட் ரூம், லஞ்ச் ரூம், இதோடு அல்லாமல் குழந்தைகளை பாதுகாப்பாக சைல்ட் ரீடிங் பிளேசஸ் வைத்திருக்கப்பட வேண்டும். எங்கெல்லாம் 30 எம்ப்ளாயீஸ் பெண் ஒர்க்கர்ஸ் இருக்கின்றார்களோ அங்கு கண்டிப்பாக கிரீச் வைத்திருக்க வேண்டும். எல்லாருக்குமே குழந்தை இருக்க வேண்டும் அவசியம் இல்லை. 2-3 பேர் குழந்தை இருந்து மற்றவங்களுக்கு சிறியவர்களாக இருந்தால் கூட கண்டிப்பாக கிரீச் வைத்திருக்க வேண்டும். அடுத்ததாக வெல்ஃபேர் ஆஃபீஸரை அங்கு அமர்த்த வேண்டும் என்று விதிமுறையில் இருக்கின்றது. ஸோ with this we conclude this video.